Hi, I'm Dave Cunningham.
Hi, I'm Rob Cunningham. Clearly, I am the younger, better looking brother. Uh, I am a qualified CPA. I've been working, specializing in financial planning and analysis for the greater part of 30 years, working on integrating systems, be it Excel, pharmacy management systems, point of sale systems, to make it easier for you to get the best information possible to make the best possible decisions for the betterment of your pharmacy.
I have been in public accounting for about 35 years, and I've been specializing in small business, doing a lot of work with retail pharmacies. I'd be working with them from the standpoint of financial statements, tax returns, consulting, overall profit maximization. Today, when it comes to maximizing profit, one of the keys is planning. You have to start somewhere. You have to plan for the short term. You have to plan for the medium term. You have to plan for the long term. Most of you out there don't, whether you realize it or not, are entrepreneurs. And as entrepreneurs, you have to get control of your commercial undertaking. Most people understand that they're in a commercial undertaking, but they don't understand that whether they're in control of it or not. You feel in control, but are you in control? By planning, you take control of your operation to maximize the profit or to maximize aspects of your business that you didn't even know you had because you hadn't taken a look at it.
So Dave, that's a great segue into what it is. So here are what I think are the outcomes that you're going to get from this particular webinar. First, you're going to understand the typical problems that do face pharmacy owners on a day-to-day annual basis. You're going to understand how a strategic plan can actually help you overcome some of these problems. We're going to go into the detail of the specific components of a strategic plan so you can build that framework, so you can build it. We're even going to identify some growth initiatives, revenue growth initiatives for you that you might not have even thought about, and really provide you those tools that can help you quantify that growth. So when you know the total cause and effect of when you do this, this is the impact on your revenue and on your gross profit and opportunity net value, net income, and the valuation of your pharmacy when it comes to sell. So Dave, why don't you take us into what are the typical problems that do face average typical pharmacy owner?
Yeah, and the thing is that I've been discussing this with the pharmacists. So number one, I don't have enough time. All the things you're telling me to do are great, except I already have a full day. I don't have time to do this. Once they've decided that, yes, I think I understand what you want me to do, but I'm so comfortable doing what I've been doing. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Everything's working well, so why should I change? Technology. Everybody is very comfortable with their pharmacy computer, POS computer, but what other aspects of technology are out there that can help me with my business? What about cloud computing for the accounting? What should we do? COVID. Well, yes, this is a one-time thing. We have COVID, and we've been doing it for a year and trying to adapt to it. And once we've adapted to it, it'll never happen again. And that's true, but maybe COVID won't happen, but something else is going to affect your business, and how are you going to adapt to that? Sometimes being an owner-manager and not having a partner, not having a group, you feel like the world's out to get you and that there's nobody there to help you and that you have to make all the decisions. Well, that's part of the planning too. Plan for what you can do and plan for what others can do for you.
So if you don't know how to do something, don't pretend like you know how to do it and just muddle your way along.
Well, I borrow from one of my great philosophers, Dirty Harry. You've got to know your limitations.
Man's got to know his limitations.
That's it. Employee management. You know, when you're a pharmacist and you just have the dispensary and you're just working with the professionals behind you, the assistants and the technicians, stuck on that word. When you're working in the dispensary and you're working with the technicians and the assistants, you find it very easy to wrap your mind around it because it's all technical. It's all within your knowledge base. But all of a sudden you have to deal with the front store. You have to deal with people, purchasers, or you have to deal with the people selling you product. You have to deal with the employees, the cashiers. How do you deal with all these people? How do you deal with hiring and firing? All these things you have to plan for. And is it you are going to do this, or are you going to download the responsibility to somebody else? You have to make that decision.
Yeah, and it's a lot easier to just do it yourself, isn't it?
It's a lot easier, except that the thing is that as an owner, everybody knows the easiest thing in the world to do is to hire somebody. The hardest thing to do in the world is to fire somebody.
Correct.
Yes. Unless you're a human cannonball in which you get hired and fired on the same day. Anyway, cash flow and profitability. One of the places where I feel that a lot of pharmacies fall down is they're very good about getting their financial statements done at the end of the year. What they're not so good at is forward-looking, looking to budgeting, looking to what should these numbers look like at the end of the year? What should I plan for? What product should I plan for? What about my cash flow? How much do I need to live on? Should I pay myself salary or dividends? What should I be paying my employees? All these decisions where when you were a pharmacist behind the dispensary, you didn't have to make these decisions. But now that you're a pharmacy owner, you have to look at things like cash flow and profitability. Other things you have to, information systems. What information's out there? It's amazing. When I first went in to a client who had been in business for over 20 years, and the first question I asked them was, you have your sales per your general ledger in the dispensary? Yes. Did you compare those sales to the sales that are on your dispensary computer? You can do that. A simple little task, just comparing what's on the dispensary computer to your accounting, and they found out that there was theft. But if they didn't know to look, that would have continued on, and this person would have lost thousands of dollars.
And if you didn't put that plan in place as far as what the numbers should look like, you would never know what they're wrong until they're actually too late.
Yeah, too late. And the thing is that a lot of pharmacists have good year-end financial statements done for them from CPA public accounting firms that will finish them 3 or 4 months after year-end. But the fact is, that's 3 or 4 months after year-end. You've already had 15 or 16 months pass by, and you haven't really thought about what's happened. If you plan and you have, here are my results and here's what I plan to do, you can then take corrective action if necessary.
Yeah, because you don't know whether the problem occurred in month 1 or whether it occurred in month 12, and it's a new problem, or it's something you've just been living with for possibly months or years, for that matter.
Yes, another story we had was this particular pharmacist brought in a new product. In this case, it was cosmetics. And whenever you bring in a new product, usually most people just monitor sales. But this person decided, rightly, to monitor sales and profitability. So for 3 months, they monitored cosmetics and the profitability, and they found that the sales were doing pretty well, but the profitability was zero, and they couldn't figure out why. So but the thing is, all of a sudden, they've got the information to look into. They looked into it, and they found out that their pricing clerk was pricing at cost rather than at sales price. So no, you don't make it up on the volume. you have to price. You have to make a good profit. And had they not been monitoring the cosmetics, they could have gone on for months losing who knows how much money because somebody made a mistake. And I think that's the other thing you have to realize is that we're human beings, we make mistakes. Not everything is about, shrinkage is about theft. Sometimes it's about mistakes. And everybody makes mistakes.
Just human error.
But do we have the processes in place to find mistakes quickly? And that's where the planning and the monitoring comes in.
And that's what we're going to try and talk about a little bit today, is how you can set up a regular review process, what to look for, what your numbers should be versus what they really are. So again, so you can take corrective action. Is it intentional mistakes or is it unintentional mistakes? And it could be either one, and we don't know unless we do a review.
Exactly. And then, which leads us right into the other issue, is review of financial goals, which should be done at the very least annually. And certainly on a monthly basis, you should be at least looking at your monthly financial statements. I had another presentation where I talked about look at financial statements, get financial statements. And oh, by the way, I understand that there's a centralized area that produces monthly financial statements. And every month you get them right there. Now, if all you do with those monthly statements is put them in the garbage or put them in a pile, that doesn't count. And I saw one person smiling in the audience. And I found out afterwards that was the controller that was handing out the monthly financial statements. And he knew that a lot of people were getting these things and not using them. And that's the thing. You're getting information, let's make use of it.
So how often do the best of the best pharmacies look at and review their financial information?
Most pharmacies will take an ongoing review every month because most pharmacies will have budgeted monthly budgets, monthly sales budgets, whether it be dispensary, front store, post office, lottery, and they'll take a look on a monthly basis how they're doing. And this is the next thing is that the dispensary computer will print how many number of prescriptions and the dollars and the profitability, and they look at it every month and they say, okay, here's how we did this year versus last year, and does that make sense? Now, yes, we're back to COVID again, and that threw out numbers all over the place in terms of what the numbers were.
Maybe what they should be, but not the access to the information and how you get the number and how often you can review the numbers.
Yeah. But the thing, and this is the thing, is they still could review them and take them into context. So someone said, well, what were my script volume in the month of July? Well, it was this. Okay, well, wait a minute. Let's take a look at 3 or 4 months together and compare the 3 or 4 months, because if we take a bigger grouping, all these ups and downs will average out. And it turned out in the number, when we looked at it, the numbers did average out. But what if they didn't?
Right. Right. So basically all the information is there like a great big fat and juicy fastball coming right down the center, and you just got to decide whether you're going to take a swing at going and finding it.
And hopefully hit the home run.
And hopefully hit the home run.
Yeah.
Okay. Excellent.
The whole objective here is to, again, not focus on any group. We're not going to just focus on whether you're looking to sell your pharmacy or whether you're looking to buy, because frankly, planning is planning. And the fact of the matter is that well, let's look at the planning cycle.
Yeah, and I think each and every pharmacy owner will have different objectives. So a plan that I bake for me might be different than a plan that you bake for yourself.
Yeah.
But the process in and of itself will be the same.
And the thing is that as far as the cycle is concerned, a cycle is a cycle. And whether you're in the first mile of the marathon or the last mile of the marathon, the fact of the matter is the cycle is still the same. You start with goals. What are my goals? What are my sales goals? What are my prescription goals? What are my goals for particular front store products? And make them into a financial plan. That's a budget, and I'd say the number of pharmacies that actually do budgets are probably 1 in 100. But the fact is whether you actually put the goal and actually write it down, which is the preferred, or whether you mentally say to yourself, okay, here's what I want the numbers to look like. I've got last year's numbers and I want to make sure they improve. Not as good, but it's better than nothing. That's really what the start is. And so you set your goals, and the thing is that you say, okay, if I have this goal, here's what my financial statements should look like next year. So if I've got 10% more prescriptions and I've got 5% more front store sales, then that means my numbers at the end of the year should look like this. So this is what my desired outcome is. So how do I get there? And that's where you set your strategies.
Okay.
We set up our strategies, and I mean, this can come from any number of things. It can be synchronizations. How do we put in med checks? From the dispensary standpoint, from the front store, what's our product lines? Have we lined up our front store products to be consistent with what our dispensary products are? For example, if you have a lot of diabetic patients, maybe you should have certain products in the front store. So you identify who your patients are and what their needs might be. You know, one of our clients found out that there were a number of older clients, and therefore maybe home health care would be appropriate. So they developed a huge home health care center. These are the types of decisions you make based on your analysis. So we've set our goals. We know what we want our outcome to be. We've got our strategy. So now what we have to do is measure what's going on. So we got our budgets in place, and we start monitoring on a monthly basis. Are we going in the right direction? Are our sales going up 10%? Or are they going up 5%? Are they going down? And then if everything's going the right way, great. How do we make it better? If the results are going the wrong way, why?
Okay.
So we've got the results, and where are we from there? Back to the start again. We set new goals and around the cycle again.
So let me kind of recap exactly what you say, just so it's clear in my mind and clear in our pharmacy owners' minds. You want to really start with where you are right now, right? Gather all the information you need. You want to really figure out where you're going, and you may want to go someplace different than me, and that's all okay. Yeah. You then got to sit there and determine your priorities on on exactly how to get there. And then once you've determined how to get there, you want to go through this monitoring process of understanding how exactly are you doing. And once you're going to find out you're doing some things good, you're going to probably find out you're doing some things not so good. It's going the way you expected, not the way you expected. And so then you're going to either decide, how can you improve, and basically go through and reset goals again. Yeah. You're going to start doing things, you're going to stop doing things, you're going to continue doing things. Is that kind of summarize the whole cycle?
That summarizes the cycle. So, and again, as I said, whether you're at the beginning of your career as a pharmacist owner or whether you're at the end of the career, this all applies, because the fact of the matter is you're always circling back to what are your goals and then going through the cycle.
Compare the pharmacy revenue on your year-end financial statements to the pharmacy revenue in your pharmacy management system.
Now, we're not expecting these to agree dollar for dollar, but they should be close. I mean, if you have $1 million in your financial statements and your financial dispensary computer says 998,000, that's pretty close. But if the dispensary computer says 900,000, then why is there a $100,000 difference? Now, I have some pharmacists that had a big difference because they discounted their fee a lot on cash customers, and there are a number of you in Ontario, especially, that don't collect the $2 and have other ways of adjusting the government reimbursement. So you have to take that into context, but you got to start somewhere. Compare those two numbers. That'll develop questions and hopefully make you more profitable in the end.